Hello degenerates, and welcome back to another Smash Ultimate analysis video. This time we're going to be doing the deep dive in-depth look at Minecraft Steve. So you probably saw my other videos already. Those were pretty much just the live reactions that I had when he was first being revealed with the two trailers, and then I did that one in-depth analysis of the first one, but obviously there wasn't a lot that we could tell, and the cool thing is we actually did get some confirmation on certain things that ended up being correct. So the good things are I was able to do like a lot of just like frame data analysis on here, and we were able to get a lot of confirmation on things that I was definitely curious about getting. In fact, I do want to bring up one of them just because it is going to be important and it does apply to the stages. So got that up right now, so we'll be able to go right into this and everything. So just to get my initial thoughts out of the way on how good I think Steve looks, some things are hard to tell, but one thing's for sure is that he has some of the most extreme strengths out there, and some of them could possibly be game breaking. But there are some caveats to it that we might have to see further down the line. Of course, one of the biggest factors right now is the footage that we are seeing here is from August. So there's a very good chance that some of these things might be changed by the time that he releases on October 13th. However, I have a pretty strong feeling this is going to be a pretty accurate representation of how he's going to play, but there might be some things, and particularly, I think like one thing in particular that I looked at that probably is going to change by the time that he releases. But overall, frame data on Steve is extremely good. Most of his things, like his jab is frame 4, and pretty much the rest of his moveset's going to be anywhere from like frame 6 to frame 10 for a lot of it. And then there's like a couple of things that are like 12 and 13, but not really anything slower than that. Just to kind of get into some things, like down smash starts frame 9, up smash is frame 8, F smash is frame 13, so smash attack wise, really good frame data. In terms of aerials, Nair is going to be frame 4, his fair is frame 8, and then his bear is frame 12, with up air being frame 6, and then his only slow one being Dare, which is frame 20, but there's even some really weird things with that one too. And then after that, his specials are a lot more like reasonable for what they are. So for like for placing down blocks, it's going to be like frame 8 or no, frame 6 for placing the blocks, and then if you're mining, it's like frame 19 or 18 to get each material. The cart, which is a side B, is going to be frame 19, and then you can jump cancel at frame 27. And the other move you can jump cancel is Dare, which from at least the analysis that we saw here, that was frame 27 as well. And then if you're doing the TNT and you step on the switch, it looks like it explodes frame 12, but there's some other weird things about that I'll get into later. And then your up B is going to be frame 23. One thing that's kind of interesting about Steve, at least frame data wise, is his tether grab. Now, startup for the tether grab, pretty normal, frame 13. It's actually one of the faster ones, like it's one frame faster than Luigi's, so that's actually really good plus for him. But at least by the look of the animation, it seems to be frame 13 to 26, and if it does happen to be that, this would be the longest lasting tether grab out there in terms of frame data. But obviously we don't exactly know the FAF of it, so that could be a different story once he's finally released. But as of right now for our tether grab, this is easily the most active one out there, and it starts the quickest too. So if he has that stats for it, while it's still a tether grab, it's a really good tether grab just for how much it lingers. And then also his throws seem to be very useful. Obviously there's not really too much of a reason to go into frame data of that, but we'll get to those when we get to those. So let's just talk about his moves, just kind of in the sequence of things. As I first mentioned, his jab comes out frame 4, which that we'll be playing here in just a moment. When we get there, I'll pause it. And his jab also doubles as his F tilt, as we can kind of tell. So basically, as you hold A, you're able to walk forward too. So I think it's going to be a lot like Mega Man, where it's the same philosophy there. The other thing too that's kind of interesting is that since you can see his head tilt up and down, you kind of will be able to tell what moves he's going for. Down tilt's kind of obvious because he'd be crouching, but like if he looks like he's going to do like an up smash or he's going to anti-air, you will see his head move for that. So that's going to be like kind of one unique tell that a lot of the other characters don't kind of don't really have, at least when you're playing as them. But the jab itself looks really good. Actually, quickly, before we do talk about the jab, we should talk about the crafting things that you have. So they never really specified if you start out with tools. I imagine you start out with wood tools. I don't remember if that's how it works in the games, but like I think you probably have that just so you can mine materials. And there is 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 different materials that you have. So you got wood, stone, iron, gold, and diamond. So from what we can tell, I think like the durability is really going to be the biggest factor with everything except gold. And then there's also supposed to be a power increase in them, but we don't know if that's going to be more damage or more knockback. And then obviously they can be used longer. And then of course, iron is probably going to be the most important material after diamond, just due to the fact that there's a couple of moves that use iron. For example, down air will use iron, and then your down throw also uses iron. And at least for your down air, I think that's the only way you can use it. And then also for your down throw, that allows you to deal extra damage with it. And you can only get up to 8 pieces of iron as well. So that's going to be a resource that you're going to have to manage a lot more compared to the other materials that you're going to be gathering. The other thing too is gold is a really interesting material here because it has 2 properties. It's fragile, weak, but it's faster. I didn't really get to see the analysis on all of them because as far as I could tell, we only got the look at gold just for the jab. Might have been one other move, but for the jab, it just goes 1 frame faster. How it affects the other moves kind of remains to be seen. But I kind of have a feeling that gold's going to probably be the one material that you want to avoid as much as possible. Just because I'm not sure if the frame data is really going to make up for it, especially since his frame data is already really good. Unless it gives you like a ridiculously fast spike, like a frame 8 spike off stage, then okay, that might be pretty good. But outside of that, not really sure if it's going to be one material that you're really going to want to be crafting with. So pretty much, if you get gold, you're not going to really want to craft until you have diamond. That's sort of the way that would go. But yeah, let's talk about. I guess we could talk about like the physical properties of him and particularly his animation. So as you can see, he doesn't seem to be particularly fast, but he just seems to be fast enough that he can probably, like, unless like you're playing like Mac, Falcon, or Sonic, you're probably going to be able to at least keep up pace with most of the cast when he's running. But this is actually going to really suck, the fact that he can't like automatically jump up here. So pretty much like his jump height is basically locked to a short hop height because that's his full hop. So that's not good, but he might get some kind of unique thing since he pretty much has like auto short hop. The macros aren't really going to get him too much, and I'm not even sure if he has a short hop in this case. And if that happens to be the case, then maybe he won't even have like the damage thing affect him when he's doing short hop aerials. But if he has a short hop than this, then that honestly is kind of crazy. But yeah, the main reason why he does have that really short jump is because it's supposed to be accurate to the game, and also so he can just completely land on these things. So in terms for blocking projectiles, that's actually going to be kind of a bit more useful. But still, regardless, that is going to hammer him. That is going to like hamper him more than I think it's going to help overall. So that's one property about him that's not so great, but it may not have that big of an effect on him overall. Let's see. And then now we're going to get to the actual attacks. So, sorry for the big delay, but yeah, now we're going to finally talk about Jab. So Jab, as I mentioned earlier, going to be a lot like Mega Man's. So comes out frame 4, and then it ends like frame 16, and then I think you can act after that. So basically, you can just keep canceling and moving like this. So you have a disjoint. So any brawler, they're going to get beaten out by this unless their limbs are intangible. And the other thing too is it does combo into itself, and that's really good. And the other thing too is you can jump cancel it, so as you're attacking you can just jump with it as well. So basically if they start flying a little bit too far out of the jab range, then you can still follow them in the air. So basically you can just keep true comboing it for a lot longer than you would think. And then right there we did see just a little dash. So if you kind of want to see his speed. Yeah, so as you can see, like not super fast, but like I still think it's kind of enough to keep pace. The other thing too is we don't know exactly what his hurt box is going to be, but basically he's always going to be staying the same height. So he's not really going to have like any shenanigans. Like if you look at his head doesn't move at all. He's not going to have like any hurt box manipulation shenanigans with that. So if you have projectiles, it should be fairly easy to hit him without really needing to change course too much. But as you can see, he doesn't go into tumble at all. So you, as something that Gimr pointed out in his video, you can't SDI, you can't DI those that move at all. So you're basically stuck in that. He can carry you out at low percents. But one of the other things that we do need to see is we do need to see exactly how different materials are going to affect the sword. Like, is it going to knock them too far away? Or is it just going to do too much damage? One or the other. Or if it keeps doing the same knockback and all that stuff, then that's good. But it might be one of those things where you might want wood early on just so you can combo into it a lot better. The one thing that you need to keep in mind is just the fact that the sword itself does have durability, so it only has so many uses. So something that's kind of interesting that I need to point out is right now he's going over F smash. So F smash starts frame 13, at least with the regular, at least with wood. We don't know if it's going to be the same for stone, iron, and diamond, but from what we can tell, most likely will be. So overall, he does say it's a pretty strong move, and it is decently fast. Like for example, I do believe. Let me check this one character. So if you want something comparable, like Banjo's F Smash comes out frame 19, so this is quicker than that. Let me see Diddy Kong real quick. So Diddy Kong's forward smash, that comes out frame 12. So basically, it's 1 frame slower than Diddy Kong's F Smash, and instead of it having to wait for it to be a multi-hit move, it's just one swing. And there is one really interesting thing that you can do with F Smash is that you can actually jump cancel it. So when he gets to that part, I'll definitely be sure to show it off. So he's going right here, just going to show that, use it here. We don't know if get up attack and the ledge attack will also affect durability, but there's some other things that we need to keep track of. In terms of ledge hang, his ledge hang looks pretty good. If you look at this over here, his head seems to be below the actual line. So if that's the case, it's going to be kind of hard to hit him, but you never know if the hurt box itself is kind of janky and it tends to just go a little bit up, or if he has like a janky like hand hurt box. So he might be able to get hit by some things, but as of right now, it looks like it'll be kind of hard to hit him. So even as duck hunt, you might need to be a little bit closer to the ledge than you normally are, just to hit him. Other thing too, I just find it hilarious that he crouches. And this is something that's really interesting, is look at this hit stun animation. This is his tumble animation as far as we know, because he gets knocked down here. But look at this. He's standing completely straight up the entire time. So because of that, it's actually going to be easier to combo him, just because like he's not laying flat or anything like that. Like you're just going to be able to keep hitting him over and over again. And his hurt box isn't really going to change. Not to mention him swinging his arms like that is probably going to make it easier to hit him as well. Now for our projectile player, so if you're like a Samus main, a Me Gunner main, or just anybody with like a charge shot, this is your biggest blessing in the entire world if they miss attack. So when he misses attack, like this is him going into the splat phase, he just stands straight up. So you could do Nair, if they miss tech, he'll stand and you could just like charge shot him and then he's just gone. And look how long this takes. So it takes him forever to actually fall down and then like actually get back up. So let's look at this again one more time. There. And then look how long this takes for him to even fall down. Like all this time you can hit him. So like there's eventually a point where he will lay down, but when he starts blinking white, that's when he's initiated the roll. So during this might be the entire phase where he's not allowed to buffer a specific tech option. And now he's able to buffer the tech option. So over here, like if you wait the longest, this is like how long it takes for him before he can be invincible. He's only invincible once he starts blinking white. So once again, knock him down, and then if you have your charge shot, it's going to be one of the freest characters to hit like in your entire life. You can just miss and you'll hit him. So that's going to be really bad for him, but he also has like the most hilarious ledge roll, roll animation right there. He just kind of like drifts all the way up, kind of like he's being possessed. So that's going to be really funny. The other thing too is that his run animation is probably not going to be good in terms of like how big his hurt box is. So looking at his legs like this, you should be able to hit his feet. There might be a chance that you may not, but if you can, it's not going to be like a Mewtwo tail per se, but it'll be kind of like that. I would say equate it more to K-Rool's dash. If you're just able to hit these like pretty regularly, it's going to be kind of annoying for Steve Mains to like kind of get away from you. So that's one thing that you can take advantage of him besides the horrible the horrible splat animation. But his saving grace with the splat is that his roll does go pretty far, so that will help. So I do think that we missed the jump cancel thing real quick. So let me get right back here. Because I really want to show the F smash. Yeah, so they're showing the attack. So that looks to be like the short hop there, because that looks a little bit shorter than like the normal full hop that he has. Yeah. So let me see. I do want to check like my photos real quick, because like if it happens to be at a different timestamp, I should keep that in mind. Yeah, because like overall it doesn't look like he's doing it right here. But yeah, F smash is one of the few moves that he can jump cancel. Just to show this off real quick, let me bring up this little clip right here. This was during the live stream. Okay, so he was fighting a Yoshi. So I'm going to mute myself real quick. So yeah, see, you can see the flash right there. And then he's able to jump cancel it. So when we get to this part, so it's at 7 minutes. So I'll show that off real quick. Let's just check out this axe. So axe, once again, as they do mention, each tool does have their own durability to it. So because of that, it's like if you do break like your sword or something like that, you will need to go back and recraft, but you still will at least have access to your up tilt. Overall, this move looks like it's active for 3 frames, and then it starts on frame 6. So it's very fast. It can combo into itself, and you can do like 3 or 4 up tilts into each other, especially if you have platforms, and then combo it into an up smash. So unfortunately, we don't know what the exact damage of that's going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like an easy like 50% combo. And then over here, he did like 4 up tilts to Bowser and then combos it into Fair. So if you miss the spike hitbox of 3, so that's 4, 5, and then he does the axe. So after 5 up tilts, and those are staled for a bit, that's how far Sour Spot axe goes. I'm just going to call it that for now just because it's the non-spike. But yeah, so if you're able to hit somebody off stage with that, especially if it could send Bowser that far, this move is pretty strong. And keep in mind, that's a frame 8 forward air. So that move's looking pretty good. The other thing that they don't mention is if you just keep swinging it and you miss, we don't know if the durability goes down. So that's kind of another thing that we have to see. So yeah, what we can gather from the mining thing over there is you get a new material every 18 frames after the first 19. But we do know that depending on which type of material you're on, whether you're on stone, grass, or wood, will determine what type of material, how quickly it comes. So I wouldn't say it's going to be accurate to everything, but it's probably going to be a pretty good average overall. And then, yeah, this is a pretty basic attack. He goes pretty far. Like, he kind of steps there. And then if he did dash attack, like where the end of the wood is, he'd probably hit Yoshi. So. Yeah, so let's see where he starts it. Yeah, right at the end of the wood. And then see his axe kind of swung like right here, and then he steps forward. So if you whiff this against somebody, or like you dash attack their shield, this should be really, really easy to punish. Most likely all you need to do is just do a grab, because I doubt that's going to be safe against shield against grab. So that's probably going to be your go-to punish against this, unless you have another option that's better or faster than that. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised like if you have Diamond Axe, that dash attack will probably kill at like 140 or something like that, or maybe 150. It just kind of looks like it's one of those type of dash attacks. So the main thing that he stated is that forward air, that one has the spike. That's kind of the main thing with that one. And then back air is just stronger. So that's kind of the main thing. Also, the angles seem to be pretty similar to each other, so they seem to be fairly shallow, all things considered. So yeah, here's showing the sworded and attacking. And the main thing is that you do need to stagger it before the axe comes out. So that's like the one thing that you need to keep track of when you're at the ledge. And then this is the part that we should be seeing the sword jump cancel. So unfortunately, we don't really know the differences between these as much. We just know that this is going to have the most durability, and then these will have more. This is the only one that we know for sure has less durability and attack power, but it's faster. Stone and iron are the ones that are less clear. But that's kind of the main thing that we can gather from that for now. And then we can see that one in the middle. So durability is going to be like a big thing that Steve mains are going to have to lab out, and there's always a chance that that might be one of the things that gets hit first in patches. So if you do decide to pick up this character, if you're fighting them, really do keep track of that, because I think at least in terms of swords and all that stuff, especially if wood is touched, because that one's probably going to come into play quite a lot in the beginning of the game. That's something that you're going to want to keep track of. Also, I did check the jab. If he doesn't have a tool, it's still frame 4 like his other moves, so he doesn't get faster without any tools. So I guess, did we miss the whole Yoshi thing? Is that 703? Yeah, there we go. That's exactly what we wanted to see. So yeah, just to kind of reiterate. Yeah. Just so that we can have another video on this. So you can see clearly charging up F smash. But in this case, it's he only had it out for 2 frames. So we don't know if after a certain frame you can't jump cancel it. But if you're able to jump cancel F smash at any point, you might be able to swing it out and then jump cancel it into a jab or something. And if you can do that, that's just utterly ridiculous. So we don't know how big the mix-ups are going to be with it, but just the fact that you can bait somebody out with that and then like just jump, that's really good. So we'll see how many million games that you can do with it, but I'm kind of looking forward to see exactly how janky they decide to make that. And yeah, that's going to be really annoying to fight. So that durability we kind of talked about. We talked about the jab. And yeah, and this is where I was talking about you can still use your other equipment and all that stuff. So the down tilt attack is actually pretty insane. So down tilt itself, that comes out frame 12, and then it stays out from 12 to 40. So you get 28 active frames, and it drops down 2. So by doing this, you can basically 2-frame the entire cast without trying. It's gonna be one of the most annoying things out there. And what we don't know is we don't know if you can have like enough frame data advantage that you can do this and then act afterwards. Because if you can drop it and then like jump and attack, that's going to be insane. The other thing too is against like projectiles like that, you can obviously block them. But we don't know like exactly what projectiles are going to be able to go through this one and which ones aren't. It's not going to really be the best thing in the world, but you can do that to block projectiles, and you can also summon blocks to block projectiles. This up smash, as I mentioned before, this one comes out frame 8. So this is a really good up air just in terms of frame data and just the size. So you're going to be able to catch a lot of people. However, it doesn't really look like this is going to be a move that kills, and then if you do miss, there is quite a bit of end lag. It takes 60 plus frames before he can act. So basically he's locked into this animation. We don't know how the charging is going to work for this move. But like overall, high commitment, but very easy to use in terms of a reaction. So it's going to be a move that you're probably going to be using quite a bit, and then especially with like platforms and all that stuff, considering how annoying it is to like get below them sometimes, that's going to be a good thing. And especially if you're fighting heavies, like they basically aren't going to be able to escape the magma block on a platform. I'm just kind of going back real quick to, I think I got to go one more. Yeah, so like if you place this in the middle, like if you're playing against like King K. Rool, DK, or Bowser, this in the middle, they cannot land on this platform and avoid this unless they're like on the very edge. It's going to catch them. So for big bodies, that's going to be really annoying. And you're going to see here that actually does true combo into him. So very easily up tilt, up tilt, up tilt, jump, up tilt, up tilt, up tilt, up tilt, and then into magma block. You're going to do so much damage. So more than likely, if you're fighting Steve as a big body, you're just going to automatically start the game at like 60 or 80%. It just wouldn't surprise me. So this down smash is actually really good. As I mentioned, starts frame 9 and then comes out frame 26. And when that first block comes out, that's when the hitbox starts. So you don't have to wait for that little lava plume. And the other thing too is the angle on this is really good. And this move is going to become like so deadly with the combination of the blocks. Because one thing that you're going to see Steve do later is that he'll place the block, do the down smash, and then basically because the block disappears, then he's going to be able to cancel all the end lag that he has with his down smash and then act after that immediately. So basically he just gets like instant access to a smash attack that he can cancel. And that's also going to apply on stage 2. Like think about it. What he can do is he can jump, block, down smash, and then once the block gets destroyed by the down smash, then it automatically cancels his lag. So he has access to a frame 9 smash attack if he places blocks smartly. So this is interesting. As you saw right there, he was able to jump cancel that down air. Obviously, he needs like stone for it. And it seems like the earliest that he could jump cancel his moves is frame 27. So that's going to be really good for edge guarding. So you jump, down air, and then you get back on ledge, and then you can do like your own ledge trap, or you can even set up blocks too. So you could like down air and then like block the other exits that he could use to potentially get around your down air. So you could do down air and then 2 blocks, and then your ledge trap is basically set. You don't really need anything else besides that. The only other thing that we really need to see is we just need to see exactly how low he can place his blocks. If there's a pretty severe limit on that, then his edge guarding won't be as good. As I mentioned, it could be different from what we see here, but we're not sure. So now we're finally getting into his throws where he does this. So the fishing rod itself went all the way out here, and from what I saw, frame 13 to 26 seems to be the likely candidates for the active frames on this grab. But in terms of tether grabs, he does have the fastest one out there, at least from the ones that I checked. So back throw looks pretty simple. We don't know if that can kill, but it's basically a back throw. Forward throw is going to be the one that kills. We don't know if it will ever have like the raw kill power to like throw someone to the blast zone, but because of how generous that like angle is, like certain recoveries are just not going to be able to get back from that. Like Captain Falcon will probably have a really hard time recovering. That thing is going to kill Ganondorf really fast. Little Mac's just going to die. Dr. Mario is going to have a really hard time too. And then this is the one that's kind of interesting. So if you have iron, down throw will summon the anvil, which will do extra damage. But it looks like regardless if you have iron or not, you should be able to combo off of it. But we're not entirely sure. Because like here, he's going to do like down throw to dash attack. And it doesn't even look remotely true. But there might be something else that you can do with it. As you can see, like at that point, Captain Falcon was able to act. So this is where like most of the meat of Steve is going to come from, which is the mining. And let's talk about this first. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of different details that we need to cover in terms of like the things that you can get. I already talked about the materials enough, but stage counter picking is going to be a thing against him. Ruben was able to go into the data viewer, and he was able to figure out what type of materials that you are going to get off of that. So basically they have like these type of like terrain identifiers on here. So brick, wood, and then iron. But after this, I do believe he made this. Yeah, so this came later. So because of the clarifications that he made on the actual stream itself, this is how the stages are going to work. So iron on Lilat, and then on the ledges, you're going to have like a basic thing. Smashville and Town City are just going to be wood, and then all the other stages are going to be basic. So pretty much it's going to cycle throughout like a whole random assortment of them, and I think they're supposed to have like a set order to them. So for the most part, you're probably going to be wanting to play here unless like wood happens to be really bad for Steve. If wood is bad for Steve, these two are probably going to be auto banned. But as we know, iron's going to be used for quite a lot of things. So Lilat should be pretty good in that regard. But it's kind of hard to say if this is going to be a good stage for him in terms of the layout. These are all kind of standard and whatnot, so I wouldn't be surprised with these things being relatively even. It's just mostly going to come down to, is big stage going to hurt him or small stage going to be better for him? That's going to be kind of my guess on it. But if you do want to get into memorizing the materials you're going to have to deal with, Ruben, follow him at Ruben_Dow. That's the info that you need. I'll be sure to link this in the description below as well, just so you have it ready when Steve comes out. So it's good info to have right there. Okay. So a couple things that we did see is that basically, like on the Minecraft stage, depending on where you are, it's clearly labeled which materials that you're going to get. And then on the other ones is the ones where you're going to get the random thing. So your moves will change, as he mentioned. So mining will mine anywhere. If you're on the stage in the air, you'll summon a block in front of the crafting table. That's how you craft. So you just kind of have to be aware of your spacing and where things are. And then later on, he'll show it's really easy to get the table. You hold shield and press B, kind of like what Inkling does to charge up ink. So you don't really have to be worried about where your crafting table is. But it looks like it might absorb some moves just because you and your opponent can hit the crafting table. So since that is the case, you might get some hitbox extensions on it, and you might be able to absorb some projectiles with it. However, I kind of have a feeling that's probably not going to happen, but we'll see when the final game, when they are finally released. They do talk about sand as one of the materials, but it's not going to really be something that we're going to have to worry about. Just because it's not something that we're going to really need. And then once you do gather up all your materials, you will start throwing them out the back. One thing that we don't know is because like certain ones are limited, like iron, we don't know if you can only fill out some before you gather others, or if there's going to be some other limitation. So that's something else that we're going to have to lab and see a little bit more for. The other thing too is if you are doing Steve Dittos, you both can use each other's craft table. So whoever's in control of the craft table doesn't matter because there's no control. It's just if there's a table, you can craft on it, and that's pretty much it. The other thing too is that the craft table will spawn where you are at the very beginning. So we don't know if you'll already spawn with materials. We don't know if you'll spawn with equipment already. So that hasn't really been mentioned yet. But we'll also kind of see if you can control whether or not you want to restore your durability or if you want to craft like a new set of tools as well. So that's kind of something that we'll have to see. So this is just going in order of the different durabilities of these items. So gold is the only one that's kind of the odd one out in that, as I mentioned before, that one does have less durability than the others. And then here, packing up with the weapon. So yeah, fragile, low power, but faster. So as I kind of mentioned before, you can see it's coming a little bit better. So gold would be great for low percent games. So like if you do happen to get the stock, if you do happen to take someone's stock and you can craft gold, that's the one time I see gold being really useful. But outside of that, you're probably not going to want it. It also does look like you're going to need a certain amount of yeah, so both of you guys can actually hit it. So you can probably do some like really cool, hitbox extension tricks with it. So that's something that Steve Main should look to lab out. And also shielding on top of the crafting table is probably going to be really good. So if you can shield it and then like your opponent hits it, then you might be able to get a really good punish on it. And to kind of like show that theory, I'm actually going to show you a little clip from Rido to just kind of explain the theory behind it. Here we go. So one thing that I've always talked about with Duck Hunt is that you can use the hurt box of like your gunman to help out with like a lot of different things, and this is like one of the best examples of it right here. So you're going to see Duck Hunt shield, and he's not even going to parry. So because he's coming down with like a full hop aerial, it's going to hit Duck Hunt shield first, and then it's going to hit the down gunman. From what we can see with the crafting table already, is that the shield is going to be bigger than the actual crafting table. So in this case right here, Duck Hunt has a lot of time to punish Fox, enough for his frame 12 up smash to come out and punish Fox, just because he gets hit stun by another object right after hitting Duck Hunt. And if you do look at this clip real quick, you can kind of see that the actual crafting table itself is below Steve or Alex. So with that being said, if you hit the shield and then you hit the crafting table, it should give you more time to punish your opponent's options. So for the Fox matchup, that's probably going to be a tactic that you're going to want to use a lot. So if you can do that, drop shield, and then like carry him off with jabs, that should be pretty good. Definitely you could get down smash off if he lands in front of you, just because that's frame 9. Though up smash, we don't know if there's going to be any hitbox that drags them into the magma block, so that kind of remains to be seen. Also, with the roll, as you can see, they don't actually roll, but they do look like they go pretty far. And the other thing too is like they do move their arms back and forth, so they're not going to exactly be in the Z-axis as they're rolling. So unfortunately, you should still be able to hit them regardless, even if they're rolling. It's just you have to wait for the invincibility to wear off. Also, whenever you do decide to summon the crafting table, you are vulnerable for 8 frames. So there is a little in-between period you can punish them. I just don't know how consistent people will be with being able to do that, because you can't react to it. You basically have to read it. So you basically need to be right next to them and have like a frame 3 out of shield option. Otherwise, you're not punishing that. So one thing about the crate blocks is you can get so many materials out there that it looks like you can do something like 20 blocks around there. And the other thing too is your weight does affect how quickly it breaks as well. So for example, when you look at this little thing that Alex is about to do, look at the box she places and look at the one she's standing on. You'll notice that this one is, of course, is like breaking a lot, but this one has actually like accelerated way beyond the other ones just because Alex is standing on top of it. So this is going to reduce their circle camping ability. However, their circle camping ability is still going to be really good, and they can't go super far off stage by placing blocks. Like they kind of show that off later on. But they will be able to camp, but they're going to have to be moving. So that's going to prevent them from just like kind of doing like infinite stalling in that respect. They will need to return and they will need to go back and mine, and it's going to take them a pretty long time to mine enough materials again. But overall, this is going to be a really strong tool just with how much they can have, but it is going to burn through a lot of resources. So yet to remain to see how good this is going to be, but there's going to be a lot of good things. One thing for sure is that they're going to show off how you can block recoveries with it. Excuse me. And Gimr showed off like a really good concept with these. Like basically what you can do is like you can knock them off stage, spike them, and then just create like the blocks already to just prevent them from going through. So that's going to be kind of a nutty setup, and you're going to see Sakurai use it against Pikachu's recovery as well. And because Pikachu doesn't have like a hitbox on his recovery, it's actually going to be pretty hard. Well, actually Pikachu does, but it just doesn't affect the blocks enough. So we do see some characters like with stronger attacks like hit these things, and it doesn't seem like they do that much damage to them. But, you know, this is an earlier build. We'll have to see how it changes later on. So the thing is, it's like they're going to show like pretty quickly the limits to how high that you can build and how far out that you can build. And that's something that I definitely want to focus on. And this is another thing I wanted to show off. This is going to be a frame 9 option. So not exactly a reaction, but something that you can use to like help get around. In this case, like as Alex, what you would want to do is you want to drop down and then like go forward. So you like you give Pikachu like the littlest amount of possible room to get through. So like down and then go up would be your ideal thing. So Pikachu can't go down up that way. That'll be the main way to block it. But there's going to be a lot of characters where, like, if Ganondorf's playing and he does side B, you just have to set up that wall and then you're set. That's going to be so hard. And then as you saw right there, with the down smash, It does look like that the move does complete there. So block, down smash. But that's still frame 9. And basically both attacks come out and the second attack breaks the block. And now Alex is able to move again. So with being able to do strategies like that, like their edge guarding game is going to be really good. And you probably are going to be wanting using dirt to like help get like those type of maneuvers out. Yeah, so that's what they're kind of talking about. So we'll have to see like what type of other changes that they make. And now here's where we're going to see the limitations. So let's look at that again real quick. So this isn't going to be universal. Obviously, every single stage is going to have their differences. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 blocks out. I wouldn't be surprised from ledge. This will be like a standard between for all the stages in terms of like how far out they can place their blocks. So they're not going to really be able to use this to recover unless they're pretty far down for the most part, or if like they're knocked up and then they can get over there. So like circle camping like off the side of the stage, probably not going to be the safest thing in the world. The one thing that you do need to be scared of though is if they can be up here, grab you, and back throw you, but they may not have enough time to do that on dirt. They probably will need something like they're probably going to need like wood or yeah, I guess the dirt's an object that they have, but yeah, they'll probably need like wood, stone, or iron in order to camp here and then back throw you. Because if they can do that, that's going to be really powerful when you have the stock lead. Also, yeah, there is a specific point where they can't go any higher. But from there, you could see it was pretty tall. So if this was the bottom, it was like 1, 2. Let's just go back and count real quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can go 7 blocks high. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being kind of like a universal thing. I think the only one where it probably isn't going to work is going to be Palutena's Temple. Like anything that has like an absurdly tall like platform at the top. But for the sake of legal stages, I would say this is probably going to be a pretty good guess on how it's going to work. We'll just have to see how it works with tri-platforms. Like Yoshi's Story, I think is going to be a bit different compared to like Battlefield, because Battlefield ceiling is really tall, where Yoshi's, if they could do that still, then they would be just outside the screen as they're placing blocks. And I don't think that's going to exactly happen there. So that's going to be like another thing that Steve mains are going to have to lab out and kind of figure out on each one. But yeah, it seems like wood will probably last long enough that you could probably stay there and then like use it to throw. But no, that stone did look like it broke pretty quickly. Yeah, where it's like, yeah, iron's taking a lot longer to break. And then at that point, just wasted them all. So yeah, unfortunately, they haven't really been showing off the entirety of the material system with the gauge at the bottom, so it's really hard to kind of gauge exactly how quickly these things are going. The only thing for sure is like iron has specific blocks for theirs. So in this case, once you get 8 iron, then it's going to fill up like that. But it doesn't look like, if you do look at Alex, it doesn't look like they're losing any materials as well just yet. So I don't think that's even accurate to like how many that you'll have on the other side. There is one other material that we haven't talked about, which is the redstone. And the redstone has like 2 specific uses. It's specifically used for TNT, and it's going to be used for the train as well. And then gold and diamond are separate just because it changes all your tools, and they're only used specifically for your tools. So that's kind of the reason why that they're out here like this. But it does look like you need a specific amount for it. The thing though is like, I don't understand how the redstone's going to work just because they don't have a specific gauge for it. So that one's going to be really hard to tell exactly how that's going to work in the long run. Like, do you just need 1 redstone or you need to get multiple? Because it's just impossible to tell how much you need. So in this case, this one is going to use like pretty much all your materials. So you're probably just going to get it and then just do it briefly. We haven't really seen this being used off stage, so we don't know exactly how useful that's going to be or if it's even good at all. But the main thing for that one is going to be the iron. But yeah, if you look here, it doesn't look like it used up that much. Let's look at that again. So what used up 1 iron? And then it looks like it used up a lot of the It looked like it used up dirt, if anything, to like help get rid of things. And it only used 1 iron just to create the cart itself, so you don't have to worry about that for the rails. And then, yeah, we can kind of see. So it looks like, yeah, it really does look like dirt's being the main thing that's being used up here. And then when you have the redstone, that's when you can do like the little boost like this. So frame 27 is the quickest you can jump out. But the biggest thing is this is also a grab as well. So when you do that, it's supposed to be a fairly strong move if you don't jump out of it. You can see, looks like it has pretty good knockback, but obviously we don't know what the percentages are of them. But if they do happen to get caught by this, then they will get thrown out. So unfortunately, we don't know what the percentage is for Shulk, so we don't know how easy it is to struggle out of this. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be easy to get out of, kind of like Banjo's down throw, but who knows, it actually might be pretty difficult as well. And also, of course, we don't know how much it scales. Like, if it ends up being like as difficult as like Inkling's Berry to get out, that move's going to be really good. If it's not, it's just going to be really annoying, and then it's going to set up an edge guard for Steve. So that's going to suck. So I think that move's going to be good. But the other thing we don't know is we don't know if you can shield the minecart. He doesn't specify it, so I'm going to assume we can't. But there's a chance that we might be able to. So this move is actually glide. Like, we've seen different properties where it, like, sometimes it disappears because she loses momentum, but other times it just does it and she keeps just going forever. And there's a hitbox on it too. But just the fact that she has glide just means like she's going to be able to recover from wherever. She'll be able to go under battlefield, FD and everything with like no problem at all. So, you know, it's cool to see this mechanic turn back, but it's basically going to make Steve's recovery busted. As long as they're far off stage, they'll be okay. If they're close, you should be able to intercept them pretty easily. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the hitbox on that move is just terrible. So that's probably me, like, the one thing is, like, if they're going to go back to ledge, that's going to be good. If they need to recover low, that's where they're going to have it roughest. So if you're fighting Steve, try to get a stage where they have, like, a wall or something. So, like, Pokemon Stadium's going to be good. Kalos is going to be good. And then Yoshi's will be good for blocking them as well. But all the other legal stages, they're just going to kind of be able to zip under it, and they'll be able to recover from basically anywhere, even low. So do need to be a little bit careful about that. And even if you're fighting Steve, because they can go under the stage and everything for free, and they should be able to move really fast, it's going to be really hard to actually set up the ledge guards for them. Like, you're going to probably want to favor taking stage control rather than like going for a ledge guard, unless like they're clearly recovering high to go here. Glide's going to really make things difficult because they can pretend that and then just swoop all the way down and go to the other side, and you have to like dash over there, so you won't be able to get like your best setup that way. Duck Hunt mains, this is what you're going to want to do. Set up can on one side, go center on the other, and then if you see them like zip around the other side, you can either ping can to reset it, or you can throw clay pigeon to set up a ledge guard on the other side, so that way you can get the 2-frame and then like go ahead and edge guard them. It's gonna be the one character where you're gonna want to focus on covering both sides of the stage. And yeah, basically just showing that. Make sure you turn around so you can grab the ledge, so nothing like really too crazy there. Yeah, so there is supposed to be like a time limit on it, but like it seems like it varies a lot throughout all the footage that he has. Like there, it clearly lasted a lot longer than all the other ones. So we'll kind of have to see how that one works. And from what we can tell, it doesn't use like any material at all. Now TNT is really interesting. So first of all, you can place it, and then I think it's automatically going to put the switch right next to it. So yeah, it looks like what happened is like they did that and then they did this. So to continue it, you have to hold B to create the line. But there's one thing that I really like about this is that the second that you touch that little plate, it freezes you. So you physically cannot escape it. So it's not like, oh, you could be Sonic, you could be quick enough to just like run through it. And he's going to show this off pretty soon. So one way that you can at least cancel it out is if you press down B, you can hit it out of the way. So then that way you don't have to worry about the switch and all. And then it kind of goes on its set timer, and the next person to hit it will have to do it. Okay, so he had to actually press B again in order to put the switch. So down B just places the TNT, and then you have to press down B again to create this. And then that's how you create the line for it. The explosion on this thing is absolutely gigantic, as I showed in my previous videos. So for 2-framing opponents, it's going to be really, really good for that. And like it's pretty low commitment to just like get the whole thing exploding. So again, just going to be showing off that. And basically, if that switch isn't within 3 blocks, it's going to explode. It's going to hit you. So something I did want to show off is, so if you look at this, Sonic is frozen. So here's his last frame. Then he steps on it. And now he doesn't move. Notice him just frozen there. So if your opponent is running and they happen to step on this, they cannot move. They are stuck in that explosion and it will hit them. So against Sonic, this is going to be a good thing to have, just because like if he happens to cross up in that specific direction, then he's stuck there and there's not going to be anything that he can do about it. And specifically, if you want to get people into this, you're probably going to want to do forward throw into TNT. That's going to be the main setup because it has that shallow angle. That's going to be good. And the other one is down smash. Down smash should likely be able to help link into that, just because it is going to be a shallow angle. So those are kind of 2 things that you're going to want to keep in mind for that. The other thing too is that you can also use the minecart to set to throw them into it as well. So yeah, like there. And then it has the same explosion properties as like Snake, where the explosion does less damage to the person that activates it versus the person that gets hit by the blast. And yeah, just kind of to show off like how far you can be and it still damages you. So here we got like 1, 2, 3. So it's like 1, 2, and he's almost on 3. He's going to step forward into 2. But it seems like within like 2.5 to 3, you still will get hit by the explosion on the grid. Yeah, kind of show off again just how far away he was. This one he was pretty close. Okay, right over there. So not really anything too crazy on that one. But this should catch like basically every single 2 frame below it. So yeah, if you have the redstone, that's going to be really good for activating it safely if you forgot to do it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that we can have here. We don't really need to talk about all the rest of the things that Steve has. But yeah, I hope that kind of gives you like a general overview of the things that they have. The Uppy glider is going to have a busted recovery. Just look up old Meta Knight gliding videos and you'll kind of see what I mean by that. Or even in Project Dev when people were doing that with Pit. Really, really good broken tool. And I imagine it'll be pretty broken here as well, but they might put a different time limit on it to make it more balanced. Jab looks absolutely incredible, combos into itself, and Gimr saying you might be able to combo it into a fair spike. So if that's true, it's going to be a really good combo tree that can set up into an edge guard situation with the blocks. Blocks are super versatile for manipulating the stage and especially for edge guarding, and as well as will probably allow you to do like down smashes that can't be punished, and will probably be able to like do like down smash into a free jab on shield. Like, just something really absurd and dumb. The other thing too is really good combo potential with the up tilt as well. So for heavies, they should be taken like 50 to 80% automatically with that type of move. Smash attacks have really good frame data on all of them. And then all the aerials have good frame data on them. The biggest thing is we do need to see the different properties of the different crafting materials to see exactly how much they're going to affect Steve in terms of what exactly, how much damage and how much knockback they're going to do, because it might play a big role in like how early that they're able to kill. We also need to see how much we can push the limits of like building blocks off stage with this character, because it might be very stage dependent on how good that is. We also have to learn what the roulette is in terms of what materials that you're going to be getting on those basic stages to know exactly what you're fighting against when you're fighting Steve. So if wood is going to be a big damper to the KO potential, and that's going to be a big thing that you're going to see on Smashville and Town and City, those are probably going to be the 2 stages that Steve is going to ban. But if it's a character that can edge guard really easily, that may not be such a bad stage to go to for them, just in terms of layout and then just how easily they can just like kind of gimp you in that direction. Minecart definitely has a lot of potential, but that's probably not going to be one you're using too often unless like you set up like a specific like setup with it where you have it bounce off a wall and then like come back, so that way you have options covered, which I think it's going to be good for that. And the other thing too is like you might be able to throw the cart off stage and it might be able to grab them as it's falling down, and if you could do that, that's going to be a really good edge guarding tool. The next one, the TNT, definitely is going to be insane at ledge trapping. So as long as people learn how to time with that or just do different unique setups with it, that move is going to be really good. And then the throws do look really nice, and it does look like it's going to be one of the most active tether grabs out there. So regardless, that's going to be interesting to see. And from what we can tell, it doesn't look like they can use their tether grab to recover to the ledge, just because it wasn't shown off here. But I wouldn't rule that out being a possibility for them. So overall, lots of things answered, a lot of things still unanswered with this. We'll see if they keep the jump canceled F smash in the final game, because that's like something I'm very, very curious about seeing. And yeah, I honestly cannot wait to get my hands on this character just to see what they are able to do. So with that said, that's going to do it for this in-depth analysis over here. So I'm going to be posting my Twitter notes. I'm going to be posting the Ruben notes as well for the stages, so that way you guys have access to them when Steve releases. Obviously, the most accurate information is going to be what the data miners have when it releases, because as I mentioned before, this is August footage, and the frame data that I have currently might change by the time that they're released. But I did do that frame data analysis with this 60 FPS video, so it is accurate to what the game was displaying at this specific time. Obviously, if there are any changes to King K. Rool or Duck Hunt, I'm going to make sure I go over them, so that way you guys know exactly how it's going to affect you guys, just because patch notes are always something that's really important. And as usual, today we are going to do the match critique stream, so be sure you stay tuned for that. And we'll continue to do it every Monday. However, that might change soon, just because, as I've mentioned, I am moving to a new place, so this actually might be the last week that you see me. This actually will be the last week that you see me here. So there's going to be a new studio, and because I'm going to have new roommates, it might be a different schedule. And if that happens, I'll be sure to let you guys know for sure. So with that said, thank you guys so much for your support. I hope you enjoy all this content that I've been doing to cover this character, because I'm very interested, and I hope you guys are very interested in what this character is going to bring. And of course, I'm very interested to see what the patch notes are going to bring as well. So let me know, what are your patch hopes and dreams? What are you hoping for your character or characters? What do you want to see out of this meta? And what do you hope that Steve is going to bring or changes by the time that Steve is released compared to what you saw here? Let me know down in the comments below. And until then, take care of yourselves until the next one.